To another episode of the Outside Insider podcast here on Philly Sports Network with myself, Liam Jenkins, where you know the score by now. All things Eagles related, last 7 days wrapped up and put inside a big Black Friday savings bag, if they exist. Talking of Black Friday savings, PSN have dropped our official ugly Christmas sweaters, although they are beautiful, so I wouldn't say they are ugly in the slightest. But if you do want to cop them, we officially have a Black Friday sale. Use the code HOLIDAY20, that's holiday with capital letters, and you get 20% off. Or if $10 is cheaper, just use the term Christmas. That's the code Christmas. Either of those at checkout. Get yourself some PSN ugly Christmas sweaters, and if you order them this weekend, they'll be in time for Christmas, which is kind of the whole point of an ugly Christmas sweater, so that would be great. But I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I know it's always weird, a British guy saying Happy Thanksgiving, so Happy Thanksgiving. It's a holiday I wish we could celebrate, but being British, we unfortunately don't have that privilege. That was a holiday that you have over there. I'll just wish you well from afar, alright? But I also know it can be a stressful time of the year, so if anyone, for whatever reason, was unable to be around their family, whether it was work or something else, and you're a little bit stressed out and upset about it, because it's all hustle and bustle, my DMs are always open. Just give me a shout and vent. Like, it's a, little safe space. You're not going to get judged or anything, and I'll help where I can. Just because I know how stressful this sort of time can be. But for the Eagles, it was a lot less stressful, wasn't it? Mainly because they were sat at home with their feet up, arms behind their head, nice cup of tea in hand, watching the Dallas Cowboys lose to the Buffalo Bills. And it was wonderful, wasn't it? I mean, everyone's stuffing their face with turkey or pizza in my case. And the Bills just outcoached, outplayed, out-hustled the Cowboys. It's that simple. And Dallas, to me, have looked sloppy, probably since the bye, maybe a little bit before it, but especially since the bye week. They've been very sloppy, as in sloppier than the pizza I had very recently, which is very sloppy. That was covered in garlic mayonnaise, so that was awfully sloppy. Now, here's the thing. As fun as it was watching Jerry World implode and Jerry Jones going and shout a lot, okay, and then you've got screams from some Halloween film coming from the Cowboys locker room, as much as I'm sure that is music to the ears of many fans, what we do know, or what we do need to know moving forward, is what this means for the Eagles. And as things sit going into this weekend, the Eagles are only one win off the Dallas Cowboys. They had a chance to extend their lead at the top of the division, to really begin pushing and trying to gain momentum here. They didn't take advantage of it. So they're now 6-6. The Eagles are 5-6. They face a 2-9 Miami Dolphins team who have about 6 players on defense in total. The rest of them are injured, or Minka, who got traded. Like, there aren't really many bright spots defensively. And if the Eagles, Alshon Jeffrey or no Alshon Jeffrey, Aguilar or no Aguilar, cannot pass against a defense that has the depth that the mighty Charlton Athletic do right now, there isn't many teams they will be able to throw against. And this is where the lifeline comes in. It's not just the opponent the Eagles have, it's, I think, the situation they're in right now. Because if you look at the schedules we've got remaining, okay, so the Eagles' next 5 games, the remaining 5 we've got, 2-9 Miami Dolphins, 2-9 New York Jets, 6-6 Dallas Cowboys, 2-9 New York Giants. Cowboys, remaining 5 games, 6-6 Chicago Bears, 6-5 LA Rams, 5-6 Eagles, 2-9 Redskins. So if we add all these up, alright, so the Eagles' remaining 5 games have got 2, 4, so 14 total wins, right? The Cowboys' remaining 5 have got, or remaining 4 I should say after last week, have got 6, 12, 17, 19. That's a 5-win differential, okay, in favour of the Eagles. They're playing a significantly less strong, less strength, they've got an easier schedule, alright? They've got an easier schedule, that's all that matters. And then you've got, well, what happens if we ever get to a tiebreaker? What happens if the Eagles and Cowboys play and somehow it ends up that they both end up with the same record, which I suppose is possible, alright? It's a plausibility we've got to explore. If you compare the out-of-conference opponents right now, the Eagles beat the Jets, the Bills, the Packers, the Bears, and the Cowboys have beat Miami and Detroit. That's it. So the Eagles on that front have a 4-2 lead with a game left to play. So either way, they've done that. That's cool. If it comes down to divisional games, that's where these remaining 4 really come into play. But the Cowboys have given the Eagles this lifeline because if you look at the last 2 losses, it's not, in a way, like, you kind of want them to lose that way. But it's going to put the underdog status on them now. Like, if they got slapped silly against Seattle on both sides of the ball, and they got slapped silly against the Patriots on both sides of the ball, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be saying, oh, we've lost the locker room, the character's gone, the hearts have gone, this guy should be traded, that guy should be traded, it's all gone wrong, who is Jim Schwartz, who is Mike Groh, blah, blah, blah. Be a lot of noise going around, okay? Instead, what we've got is a defense that has suddenly found its footing and is playing at a very strong level right now. A very strong level right now. It's great to see. And you've got an offense that has got, well, last week it had a missing RT1, missing RG1, missing wide receiver 1, missing wide receiver 2, missing wide receiver 3, and anything else I'm missing there? I don't think so. I think that's just about everything. Either way, it's substantial, right? This is impressive now. The Eagles have to rebound from this. Whether they have Nelson Aguilar or not, whether they have Alshon Jeffrey or not, whether they have Jordan Howard or not. They have Lane Johnson back, which is a huge plus for Carson Wentz and company. And more than anything, they have to go out and throw against a Miami defense that has got no players whatsoever. As in, like, I don't know who's even in their secondary right now. I know Eric Rowe exists, I know Xavier Howard exists, but most of the defensive backs are on IR, or they've been minkered and traded away, which sucks for Minkah. Well, he's doing alright, he doesn't really mind, but for the Dolphins it sucks. If there's ever a time to rebound and to use this as like almost underdog fuel, it's now, because the defense are going to have this mentality of, oh, we keep battering everyone and the world's still sleeping and why aren't we getting the credit we deserve? Underdogs, put the mask on, right? Okay? And the offense are going, well, we've got to do something. We've got to make a statement. And as much as a 2-9, loss, this is sort of like Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua for anyone that watches boxing, alright? Like, you should be winning this game. If you don't, it's shocking, alright? But you've got to go in there thinking, little man, like it doesn't look like a boxer, doesn't feel like a boxer, this should be winnable. They can't get complacent with that, as, Anthony Joshua did and then got slapped round the head and that went well. But a basic principle of going into this game, knowing that the Dolphins have got nothing to play for other than potentially playing spoiler. A defensive backfield's depleted. You're relying on Ryan Fitzmagic. There's not a lot of positivity to be had around the Miami Dolphins, and the Eagles have to sniff that out. And I don't care. Do you know what? If JJ Arcega-Whiteside is starting opposite Alshon Jeffrey, which certainly looks to be the case, this has to be the game where he's going to be thrown deep, where he's unleashed, where they take the chains off. This has to be the game for Jay Ajayi against his former team to take the chains off and get him into Jordan Howard's old role. This has to be the game where Miles Sanders can be versatile and used in the passing game again and not have passes sailed over his head. The Eagles' offense as an underdog team have been given a lifeline after a lifeline after a lifeline. This has to be the one they grab the ball by the horns and just run with it. Because if they don't, if they somehow drop this game to the Dolphins, at the minute you've got a redeeming quality factor. You're thinking, do you know what? If they can get past this, the season's on. The Cowboys are in a state of flux right now. You had weird Halloween screams from the locker room after the game that they all seem a bit in disarray. Like, you don't know if Jason Garrett's coming back. You don't know what the situation with Dak is. You don't know what the situation with Amari Cooper is. There's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes right now that are riding on these next few games. And as pressure starts to build, you'd like to see it combust. It's a potential outcome. With the Eagles, if they don't get past the Dolphins and they can't make this work and they can't somehow convincingly overthrow that defense and make it look silly and beat the living life out of it, then what happens? Because then you're still a game back, and even though the season's not over, it's another missed opportunity. And if the Eagles do claim the NFC East at this point and they do go into the playoffs, brilliant. I wouldn't say that the football they've played is playoff football. They don't deserve it. But you've got the next 4 or 5 games to prove that. And that's where the underdog energy comes from. It's that they know, I think they know they've let people down, they've let fans down. Carson Wentz acknowledging that fans have a right to be frustrated earlier this week. They absolutely know this hasn't been good enough in any facet. The defense weeks 1 to 8 was abysmal. The offense weeks 9 since has been abysmal. It has to be better. On both sides, it has to find a balance. And if they can do that, I don't care if it's against the Miami Dolphins, if they go out against a high school team, if they go out against me, or if they go out against the Patriots. Like, it has to be better. And do you know what? It might just take a few cupcake opponents to settle into a rhythm, to try a few of the more aggressive things, to give Carson Wentz confidence, because essentially the Miami Dolphins are, a scrimmage team, right? They're just playing against a scrimmage team. It's like a training camp practice. That's all it is. So you might as well unleash hell, throw it deep, give the players a chance, get some offensive confidence, get some offensive traction, roll that into the Giants, roll that into Washington, and then by the time you hit Dallas, if their wheels have fallen off and you start moving and you've got that swagger and the defense is playing as well as it has been, then my word, you've got a team. You've got a team that is capable of not only claiming the division, but shutting down a divisional opponent, shutting down a rival that has had their number for the last few years and will finally be able to take an NFC East crown, march into the playoffs and do something again. The third consecutive playoff appearance under Doug Pederson would be one that is all of a sudden filled with fire and an underdog rage, knowing that they could have beat the Seahawks, a team they may well face again in the postseason. This has to be it now. Excuses have come and gone. The time for ifs, buts and maybes has come and gone. This is act now or lose it all. This is go and decimate the Dolphins, decimate the Giants, decimate the Redskins, find your identity on offense, go out and beat the Cowboys and carry that. Carry that into the postseason and go from there. But it all starts up front and we wouldn't be having this conversation without the Dallas Cowboys. So, big shout out to Dak Prescott, to Jason Garrett, to anyone else that's been involved with the Dallas Cowboys organization for giving Eagles fans the Thanksgiving gift of dreams, because now that may have lit a fire big enough. Seeing the Cowboys wobble, seeing them drop a game to the Bills, a team the Eagles beat, bear in mind, in a convincing way, in a fun game, in an exciting game, that's gonna light a fire that they are better than the Cowboys, that the season is alive, that it's a one game at a time. They can eventually creep their way back into this and overthrow an opponent that kind of took the mick with them before. But this whole journey will start. This is a fresh chapter now. It's a new story and it starts in Miami, in a holiday Miami Vice. We hope the only crime that is committed there is the crime of scoring too many touchdowns, and that is the worst pun we've said. I wanted to start with that, guys. If you're on YouTube, we're going to wave goodbye. The full show should be going up a little bit later today. If you're in the podcast and you're listening right now in your lovely headphones, don't you worry, alright? We're going to get straight into thank you next very shortly.